Well, Jamal Green, he's a community activist who first made headlines as a leader.
Jamal Green, who's making history as the youngest candidate to run for mayor.
Jamal Green, one-time activist, now candidate for Chicago mayor.
My name is Jamal Green. I'm born and raised on the south side of Chicago. I grew up in Gresham and in Inglewood. I grew up poor to a single mother. My dad was on the west side, but my mom had to hold it down on the south side. And she worked a job every day at the post office. She's been there 30 years. And it was passed down from my grandmother, someone who's deaf, who was at the post office for 41 years. My dad been at Advocate Home Care for 25 years. And so I came from a hard-working family, and that's what they instilled in me. Growing up, I was a troubled kid. I went to 12 schools and was kicked out of 9. The truth. And I was leading kids the wrong way. And it took for me to get into high school and have mentors to put me on the right path. And at 15 years old, I started my first company with my history teacher at Wendell Phillips Academy.
You know, people are, tired of the old way and the old cycle of politics and the old ways of corruption in this city. We need progressive policies. We need to think differently. We need people who actually care about everyday needs of all Chicagoans and unify the city.
We're not only failing them in the home, right? We have a parenting problem in this generation, yes. But then when they come out the home, we're failing them in these communities. We're not giving them an environment that would put them on the right path. We're not giving them a great school. Schools in Inglewood should look just as good as schools in Ravenswood, right? We're not giving them mental health facilities. We're not creating, having economic development in their communities to create jobs, right? Or empower small businesses so they can hire from these very communities. So we're doing a bad job as leadership. Their household is also doing a bad job, but we have to do our part.
We need the proper leadership and investment, but we also need an elected school board. Let me put that on the record. But we need to make sure that we reduce classroom sizes. We got kids, and 40 kids a classroom who don't learn the same. The lack of clinical staff members, so we're failing those kids who actually come into the school. So schools, you shouldn't have to ship your kid to a different neighborhood. You should be able to send your kid to the school in your neighborhood, and we're going to make sure that happens.
Me being from these neighborhoods, seeing people being shot, I have a passion to change these communities. I'm running for mayor because I feel like there's not a voice for those who don't have one, who are in these communities that need jobs, right? Who are in these communities that are going to bad schools or going into rival territories because they shut their school down, who have a mental health problem, but there's no mental health facility because this administration shut all of them down in the urban communities, right? All of these different problems are, I'm really passionate about because I've went through them and I've seen them. And so that's why it's important for me to get in, because I will prioritize issues that are important to all communities and make this not just a tale of two cities, but we need to be one city for once and for all.
The TIF funds need to be abolished, so you ain't gotta ask me. We need to flush out the TIF funds, which would pour billions of dollars into our public school system and our park districts, and create a new financial tool that I'm proposing, linked development, where it's pennies on the dollars that go into downtown and the neighborhoods that get that investment go into a fund to spur investment in other communities on the south and the west and the east sides of Chicago. Another idea that I presented, the first campaign in the country, is that police officers carry insurance policies. Allow insurance companies to assess the liability on police officers and deem them too risky based on their record. And if they are not insured, then they cannot be on the streets of Chicago. This idea would save the city billions of dollars in police misconduct settlements, and even more in the interest on the bonds that they're taking out to pay them.
So our plan spans over 20 years, and we're going to prohibit lead service lines. When they're changing those main lines, they're going to change those service lines and give an automatic grace period to the owner. Then we're going to have a cost-sharing option in which we have shared responsibility, because we should have been addressed this issue, and there's going to be a fund where we take from ticket revenue as well as the TIF funds, and we're going to help out homeowners with this expense. But they'll be able to assess their portion over a period of time, over about 5 to to 10 years. And then we're going to have a Let Be Gone assistance fund that actually is for those who are low income in these communities and don't have the money to do it. And we're going to cover up to 65% of their costs, and their portion, like I said, can be assessed over a 10-year period.